Hello everyone, and welcome to the Deeply Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deeply Renegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 243. Today is Saturday, August 25th, 2018, and I'm glad you could join me today. What would it be? It's been a busy day. I haven't knit a stitch today. I've thought about knitting, so... So, it's been a little bit funny. It was the case where, what was it? I don't know, you know those sort of days where you just end up being busy and occupied for a little bit, so that's been today. So, there was my professional society brunch, which was lovely, and then I went grocery shopping, and now we're here. You would think you could accomplish more today, but whatever. Such is life. So, I did also total my stash yardage, and let me read this off for you guys because I was amused. I added in my last thing, and so I have 20,001.2822, and no, the 200 microns probably doesn't count. I haven't been measuring my whatever in 100 microns, but so I just barely by 1 meter made it over 20K, which tickled me tremendously. There was no hope in getting another project done, but I have posted in the 15K thread, which I could have done a while ago, but I had just been sort of keeping it all in the same place. But yeah, I made it. I'm not sure whether or not it was the change in rules. I think I didn't necessarily sit down and figure out what it would have been under different conditions, but I thought that was pretty cool to have made it that far, because I definitely remember years in which I was struggling to make 5K, so I became a spinner. And that is one way to take the fluff that's taking a lot of space in your stash and compacting it down into yarn. So, I was excited about that. And then I'm amused because I'm wearing my Raven t-shirt, so it's actually all of the words on this are Edgar Allan Poe's poem, The Raven. So, once upon a midnight dreary. I'm normally not that emo, but it tickles the literary side of me, which I think is cool. So, where should I start this week? I actually managed to make a decent amount of progress on my mini dress this week, and I am also debating if I want to do a little bit of different finishing on this. So I have finished the bodice, or nearly finished the bodice. I am, a few rows away from getting this first part done. Yeah, so only a handful of rows away. But this is the mini dress by Caddy Ledbetter, and I am knitting it out of Fibra Natura flax. And it's hanging a little bit heavy because I do have the needle on there. So I think everything's coming together rather nicely. I was trying to figure out whether or not it was actually lying at my natural waist or not, or whether or not things were turning out the way they were supposed to, because it does seem to be maybe a smidgen short right now, but I'm not sure. So this is how it's coming together. Would it be? Should be fun. And then I will be knitting the sleeves out of the bright teal eventually. Let me show you guys a picture if you haven't seen it before. So this is what it's going to look like, and this is what it's looking like now. So I swapped the dark and medium colors for this because I ended up buying yarn for a different top and deciding to knit this one in the end. So this is DK to sport weight yarn that I'm knitting at a worsted gauge, so it's transparent for sure. I can see the screen just fine through the sweater. And I might have been able to have finished it, but in the comedy of errors, I started to knit the straps for the wrong size. So, as such, it required a little bit of rejiggering. So, hopefully everything will be coming together nicely, and then I can get some provisional cast on, action on, and start working on the back. So it's slightly less messy now that I took 2 balls of yarn off of it, and I'll need to figure out the appropriate yarn weaving method, because my normal way of doing things doesn't work very well on flax. So, coming together nicely. I think it's a case where I just need to leave really long tails and just knit it in for a long time in order to keep everything where it's supposed to be. But yeah, no, I was really excited to get to that point. It was the case where I sat down to measure and I was like, oh yeah, no, this is time. I'm glad I measured. So I'll have to check up all of the dimensions in the pattern. What would it be? Particularly short-waisted, so I'd be a little bit surprised if I'm following everything exactly and it seems to be a smidge off for my size, but who knows. If I do need to rejoin, it will be annoying, but not the end of the world. So that's coming along. What would it be? That's going to be a really nice piece for legging season, which is coming soon. Maybe not right now, but soon. So, not too crazy. The other thing that I'm working on is the On the Spice Market. So that is a Melanie Berg pattern. I don't remember how far I was last week. I think I had started it. Now I'm just trying to figure out how to extract it from my bag. So, because my keys are getting in the way right now. So, this is a 7-color shawl intended for use with a gradient, or one of those packs of mini skeins. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I talked about this last week. So, this is week 2 of the On the Spice Market, and the needle's just sort of stabbing through everything. But I know I left off at a good spot, so that's okay. It's a little bit weird, but we'll make it work. It seems like for some reason I did not incorporate this yarn. So, I have finished the first part, which was the initial swing through the gradient, and I'm now in the second part of the shawl, which is primarily the main color with blips of the gradient in there. So now I only have 2 yarns working at a time, and that is so much more tolerable. I hadn't cut anything, and it was becoming a very terrible tangled mess, so I decided to commit, and I snipped the yarns, and I'm much happier. So we have this darker brown going to this very light sand color. I said I was going to say the color names, so I'll actually get that for you guys. Oh. I had actually pulled it over. I put it in reach knowing that I would want to say it. So, I'm using Miss Fabs. My main color is Hot Shot in the Sea Siren colorway, and it's Wild Iris. So you can't get any of those, sadly. And then I have Bay Scallop, Knobbed Whelk, Giant Cockle, Sliver Snail, Wentle Trap, and Lace Murex are all of the other colors. So, and I don't remember which order they went. I'm pretty sure Bay Scallop is one of the lightest ones, and I know that Knobbed Whelk is the darkest one, but that's all I've got. So it was a beach gradient, or a beachcomber gradient from the Spamps. And these were all yummy 2-ply toes. Nothing I can deal with right now. So, that was fun. It is interesting you're working this different section. I've been trying to... The increase-decrease pattern is not quite as intuitive for me for whatever reason, so I have been looking it up more frequently to figure out what it is that I was supposed to be doing again. And then I can work that stitch again, because they were supposed to work together. I decided to just work the last stitch in both colors, and I'll just accept the fact that the edge might not be quite as pretty, just to save weaving in ends so many times. It looks like I have one more to go. So that shouldn't be too crazy. So, growing nicely. It's always fun when you have shells like this, because they're just so cute and wee. And I do like sort of the dynamic look that ends up being created with this particular pattern. So just like a couple of like subtle tweaks from a boomerang style shawl in order to make it look just so. So I appreciate that. So many ends. So it's coming along nicely. The plan is that I actually would like to finish it before my sister's wedding, because I think that would be really pretty. It's probably a little aggressive to finish it for my cousin's wedding, so whatever. It'll be a good project to work on this week. I have a internal work conference that I am helping put on, so this will be pretty decent knitting to work on during that. So, those are my knitting projects right now. I've not done the itch to cast on anything different. It's actually been a pretty good mixture of stuff, depending on if I want to be... All of them are a lot of yarn management though, so whatever. Effectively speaking, when you're twisting for intarsia, it's effectively speaking like braiding the yarn, so I have to frequently, sorry, my computer wants, it seems to be, the reminder system is a little bit broken right now, so it's very frequently asking me to do something to it. Silliness. It's probably, I don't even know what I want to do to fix that, but whatever. So, with both of those projects is the case where I need to frequently stop and get everything untangled for a while before proceeding again. Such is life. So, I do have some spinning to share with you guys this week. So this is my Hip Strings Upland Cotton Sliver in 2 different colors. It is Blueberry Crumble and Unicorn Tie-Dye. And I got 2 ounces of each, and I decided to combine it as a combo spin where you can see this side is primarily hot pinks, and then this side is primarily blurples, and then somewhere in between is where they ended up being on top of each other and lying on top of each other. So I ended up getting 590 yards of a 2-ply And effectively speaking, it's a gradient, which is pretty cool too. So, on the light fingering, not lace weight sort of weight, that seems to be my default spin. I spun this on a probably higher than, or I ended up spinning this on lowest ratio on my fast flyer, and then I ended up applying it on the highest ratio of my regular flyer in order to get this effect, because what would it be? When I was looking it up, it was saying 25-1, and I do not have that on my Lendrum. I do not have the very fast flyer. But I still think I ended up making a good yarn despite not having ludicrous amounts of twists, so part of that I think is just like letting it gather. I only had a couple, like maybe 1 or 2 points in which it like didn't quite seem to want to hold together, but for the most part it was fine. And what would it be? It's definitely turned out really pretty. I'm actually thinking about knitting this as a gift for a friend who is more into, I think, these colors than I am, or at the very least like adding an accessory to her collection. So I think that's going to be really cool. I'm wondering if I want to do like a progression shawl, which is a Karen from Round the Twist design, which I bought a while ago and ended up deciding to knit a different pattern with the yarn I had originally bought the pattern for. So I think that this could be really cool as that. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. And it's just like really pretty how it ended up turning out. The studio lights are showing it to better effect than what would it be, some of my Instagram shots. So that is the story there. It all came together rather nicely. Actually, a hilarious thing that happened, so I don't know how many of you guys spin. You can like raise your hand and say hi, I don't even know. But I ended up, I think I was about a yard, maybe 2 yards off in terms of my bobbin splitting, which is super duper surprising. So I decided to make an Andean flying bracelet, so I was wrap it around my hand in such a way that you slide it off your finger and then it stays on your wrist, and you can use both ends of the bobbin to then finish applying from, so it's a really good way of cleaning up bobbins. Because I would, when I make yarn, like I'm not necessarily keeping like a small amount of fiber on the bobbin. I like it all just to be incorporated into the yarn itself. And so there really wasn't much on the other bobbin, but I put it all on, slipped on my wrist, and then I started to go to apply, and it just like exploded. So apparently the crucial thing you have with an Indian flying bracelet is that it's wool and it sticks to itself. So because it was cotton, it was a super short staple, and it was just all slippery, it went boing. Like the moment I pulled on it, like the whole thing came apart. So pro tip, don't do that. Like, it relies upon the fibers wanting to stick to each other just that little bit in order for it to work, and luckily I didn't lose anything. It was really a very manageable amount. It was hardly any yardage in the end that I ended up doing that with, but it was like, oh my gosh. After spending whatever the little bit of time to make the bracelet on my hand and then be like, so that was interesting. Now I know. Normally I just work with wool, so it's typically not a big deal. But I just have to laugh about that one. So, what I've queued up next, which I think I talked about last week, because I'm apparently stuck on this like sand and teal color scheme, is that I pulled up my Nest Fiber Club Persephone, so this was April 2017 colorway, so actually Jen will probably be dyeing this or Jen probably already has started to dye this for general public consumption. And I'm planning on just doing like a classic chain ply and keeping the colors separate and the whole bit. And so this should be a really enjoyable spin, because I am just totally in love with these colors and really looking forward to what I make with that. So I whacked on the fast flyer again on my wheel in order to aim for more of a fingering weight chain ply, and hopefully that works out. But I guess I haven't had a chance to start yet. I decided to just take knitting with me to knit night. I ended up getting a little bit more knitting time than usual because I got to go to knit night at the local yarn shop. It is currently the DFW, or was last week, the DFW yarn crawl, so I ended up running into someone that I used to work with and got to have a rather nice time at the knitting shop with her and some of the people who regularly hang out there. I would say, would it be primarily, I go there because I know that there is a pretty good community and generally there's decent conversation, but it isn't like a must-do, if you know what I mean. Like my knit night, Friday night, that's a must-do. I think I have greatly frustrated my coworkers at the dinner party because I refuse to go to the dinner party on Fridays because it's important. It's important to have that community and continuity and whatever, those friends. So, but what would it be? Since I know that there is a community at the local yarn shop, then I know that I can hop in at any point, and generally it's pretty entertaining time. It definitely tickled my funny bone going there this week for sure. So, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I should be able to record next week, and then it starts getting weird. Such is life. We'll see if I can manage to keep filling it in. I just know that there will be a decent amount of travel in the coming weeks for sure. It's probably a good thing that we're not doing anything for Labor Day weekend. For my sanity. Whatever. Like, since I'm free, I'm really looking forward to having a great fall. Because fall is definitely some of the nicest time in Texas, for sure. What else? Nothing is coming to me. So I think that is everything that I wanted to cover this week. I'd just like to give thank you for new and returning viewers. I really appreciate you guys. It makes me excited to be able to continue to record. And whatever. It's good. So, thank you very, very much. And with that, I hope you guys have a lovely week, and I look forward to talking to you guys next week. So, take care, guys. Bye-bye.